Daddy eats lots. Daddy eats lots. Daddy eats lots. Munch, munch, munch.
Hello and welcome to Daddy Eats Last, where we discuss the challenge of being a man in modern society and whatever the hell that even means. I'm Kane, and joining me this evening are both gentlemen, Ryan and Matthew. How are you, gents?
I'm good, mate.
Well, mate. Doing
Good.
well.
How's London life? We'll start with London first. Our foreign correspondent over in the UK, Ryan.
Living the dream. We've got some very, very mild snow today, which is about as good as it gets over here. In day 1,490,000, whatever we are in lockdown, with many more to go. So just ticking along.
What about you, Mick Ty? I've been flipping burgers while you've been flipping copies. What have you been up to?
Oh, slightly better than London up here in Brisbane town. What have I been up to? Had a bit of a barbecue yesterday with the neighbours.
Oh,
That
you've
was
been
good.
flipping. You've been flipping burgers while I've been flipping copies. Then
I flipped the burger today at lunchtime. Actually, yeah, it was delish. Had I think 8 beers and then went for a 10K run this morning. I was pretty impressed. I thought I was going to be. I didn't think I'd get up to begin with, but yeah, the power of running with someone else to meet someone at a certain time will do wonders. Accountability.
Certainly does.
Well, I did a park run last weekend. I didn't do anything this week. I did a park run last week. This week, I saw my two great-grandmothers and took the little fella out to the grandparents. And yes, my great-grandmother's, my grandmother, his great-grandmother's 90th birthday a couple of weeks ago. But just because of the Dan Andrews kind of slight lockdown, when we had a little bit of a case, we couldn't catch up. But we saw them. We saw her today, which was nice.
Yeah, nice one. Can I just ask how you went on your park run? That was the first one in quite some time. I remember you did one back in just before COVID, was it?
It's almost a year. I've done two, almost a year apart. One pre-COVID and one, during COVID. 3 seconds faster than the first time. So,
well done.
Geez, you've got you increased pace during COVID.
It didn't feel like that. I felt like I was going to die at various points of it, but somehow it was faster. So I don't know. I don't know how it works.
Got the gift.
Oh, I don't know about that, but what are we talking about tonight, Matthew? We are talking about things like Dry July and Feb Fast, because Ryan, you're a huge advocate of these sort of things. You always you did Feb Fast, you did booze free in January. What are the reasons? Why do you punish yourself withholding these delights, these God's gifts, if God exists? Why do you?
I am. I've been doing it for. This would be the 5th year now, I think, maybe. I don't know if it's any great reason to do it, but so I think the first time I did it, I did Dry July or whatever. One of them was the first time, I think 2016, and the reason was so I was on the board of a hospitality venue back then, and great gig. Also dangerous gig because you're in a hospitality venue, and hospitality is all about food and wine and drinking and having a good time and all those kind of things. And we'd have suppliers come in which would show us all these wines, and you get gifted a lot of things. And it became apparent to me that I was probably indulging a little bit too much, so I took a month off and felt pretty good with it. And then similarly, I think that Christmas period, it was pretty Christmas party heavy. So then did the dry Jan, and it's just kind of turned into a thing of each year I'll try and have 1 month off, more for one, just some health benefits, and two, to prove that you can do it and all those kind of things. But there's definitely been a momentum of it, more and more people are doing it. I did Dry Jan this year because in lockdown in the UK, what else is there to do? And I figured it's the opposite
of that.
I was about to say it's a hedge against, hedging against the possibility of just becoming a depressed alcoholic in winter and lockdown. So, and now it changes up a little bit. So Feb Fast, I'm doing no chocolate for February. because I think I went too hard on the chocolate when I took away the wine and drinks in January. So, but I just think there is one really good thing about it. You do get definitely health benefits from it. That's without a doubt. You break habits so that when you do sort of say go back to it, you do it in a bit more of a controlled way. And especially this year, it was actually nice just to have a win, like finish month 1 in lockdown and have a win.
Honestly, it makes a lot of sense. What about you, Matthew? I know you like drinking Santana Champ because it's so crisp and smashing your beers and your 10Ks. Have you have a month off anything at any point? The twirls, a month off the twirls?
I have decided to do Feb Fast, but I'm not so much in the alcohol sense because I'm not a big drinker anyway.
You just said you had 10 beers and it's the 7th of Feb.
Yeah, that's why I'm not doing alcohol.
8 beers, 10K run.
It evens itself out, doesn't it? Nicely. Except for that. But I don't drink during the week, and having 8 beers on a Saturday is a rarity. I might have 3 or 4 after some afternoon activities on a Saturday. But for me, it's a few other things. So Diet Coke, I smashed the Diet Cokes. And in January, I was probably smashing a lot more than I normally do. I think the heat, and I was just getting to a lazy stage of rather than picking up a bottle of water, I'd grab a Diet Coke. Generally, I'd grab a bottle on the way home from the gym. And we're only talking a 600 ml.
Really high.
1.25 bottle.
Top level rehydration, that, after the smashing a session out of the gym.
I'd have a protein shake first, then I get on that. And then it led to, buying a 10-pack of cans from Woolies. I sound like how someone starts on, what do they call that? Like low
It's
end.
it's like a gateway drug. Like a gateway drug. Yeah. I started on the Diet Coke.
The 600 ml was a gateway. Moved to the cans, and I didn't start buying slabs, thankfully. I interjected myself there because I was getting into a hole. But no. So on my Feb Fast list is the Diet Cokes. I've said no chocolate as well. Just coming off Christmas, and which is a bit tricky because there's a couple of boxes of roses and some Lindt chocolates just sitting in the pantry, and more often not, of a night time as well. I'd find myself hoeing into them. But so far so good. I haven't had a Diet Coke. I haven't had a chocolate. 7 days in. And going all well. Yeah.
Do you miss the caramel twirls?
I do. I put a request in for my birthday, which is 2nd of March, so it's just after Feb Fast finishes. The kids have said, "What do you want for birthday?" I've just said twirls, bag of twirls, those little fun size ones.
Bag of twirls and a
milks.
2-litre Diet Coke.
And I'll smash them down with.
Woo!
You'll be like a kid on a birthday, bag of 12s and some Coke.
So I've actually never done a like a designated month, like a dry July or a Feb Fast, or what's the January one that you did, Ryan? Is it good? Because they've got a proper name,
called
don't
dry
they?
January as well. I think dry gets rolled around a bit.
No, I actually haven't had an alcoholic drink since the 8th of November, which is 91 days. You can actually ask Google how many days since blah. It's 91 days. I asked a couple of times today because my little fella had been a bit of a jerk. I just asked Google just to see how many days it had been, just to reinforce that I got to 91 days and ticked off another day. But even though he's a jerk, I didn't need a red wine because it was tempting at a certain point today. I was like, I could probably smash a red wine tonight because he'd been a bit of a jerk. But we got through. So we're at 91 and tomorrow will be 92.
It's impressive. Very impressive.
Very impressive.
Well, the weird thing was, like, I did 100 and something days. I can't remember how many ended up being. It was like 111 or something around 7 years ago. And it kind of crossed over my dad's 60th birthday. So I was stone cold sober on my dad's 60th birthday, and we gave a speech and stuff, which was, always harder when you haven't had a couple of drinks. You're a bit more sort of jittery, I guess. But I remember people asking, what's wrong with Kane? Like, I know that's because I used to drink that much. Why is he not drinking? It's unusual. 100. Well, he's had a drink for like a couple months. What's wrong? It's like almost an Australian thing. Like, if you don't, what's wrong with you, mate?
I think
And if it's a girl,
there's definitely a cultural thing that these things help with. So, like in Australia, the UK, that kind of thing. And I know like for guys in particular, it can be a bit like there is that thing, like you go to a bar, you catch up with some friends or whatnot, you might be watching a game and you go, hey, do you want a beer? And you're like, no, and it's kind of what's wrong with you type thing. And I think the good thing about, you know, being like I'm doing dry Jan or Feb Fast or something like that is it does give a little bit of a license to navigate that pretty easily, or straight bat it away. And people are a bit more. I remember when I first did it, which was a dry July or whatever, like got a lot of flack for it, but I think it's definitely the last sort of 5-10 years it's built up a lot of momentum. So people go, oh, that's quite good. And it does give, I think, you know, Kane, what I find really interesting about you is you'll just like say something and then the next you'll be like, I'm not having coffee, and then I'll catch up with you and you'll be like, yeah, I haven't had coffee for 3 months. Whereas I think a lot of other people really struggle with it. So I think it gives a little bit of structure and that helps people kick curb. And it also, like, I mean, I will publicly say that these are people that are copping out on it. Because I thought when Maddie was like, I'm doing Feb Fast, and he was like, I had 8 beers on Saturday. I'm like, are you doing the cheat one where you get to drink on the weekends or whatever? But even that, I think it's still, even when people do that, it's still a habitual improvement, which is what a lot of these things are trying to do. And, you know, I can tell you on Thursday night, we had a virtual cocktail thing with some friends, and I woke up the next, like, it was like water. I was just like, so it certainly wasn't that I came out of it and have changed my life or anything like that. But it does help balance things, I think, a bit better.
Yeah, because you're also doing sort of a couple of meat-free, is it 5 or 2 meat-free, this is Ryan, 2 or 5 meat-free days a week?
So 5 meat-free meals a
5
week,
meat-free
which
meals.
which equivalates to about 2 days.
Yep.
Free a week.
Are they predominantly dinners? Because like I could, you know, not many fair few meat-free breakfasts out there.
No, they're predominantly
Dinners?
Predominantly lunch.
Okay.
Yeah, predominantly lunch now I think about it. And it's sort of again, it's like it comes from like I know there's people that do these things for much higher, more noble purposes than any of the reasons that I look to do any of this shit. But it comes from like when I was having a look at just some diet stuff for training, and I was looking at a week and I was like, I don't have a meat-free meal in this whole week, let alone anything like that. So again, it's similarly like just looking at it going, maybe I should change it up a little bit.
Are we talking red meat or just, you know, flesh?
In terms of the 5 meat-free ones, or in terms of, so basically pretty much vegetarian.
Yep.
So 5. So definitely not like there's still eggs and all that involved in those.
So
but,
vegetarian, but not, vegetarian, but not vegan.
Correct. Yep. So it's crazy again. Like I'm not. It's more a balancing of diet change things, because what I realized was I was like every meal has some form of, you know, white or red meat in it, and I was like I should probably add some more diversity to that.
That makes sense.
Are you seeing a difference?
I think so. I think I'm feeling less heavy, but I don't know whether that's a difference of culmination of a little bit less booze, a little bit less meat, and the intermittent fasting. But it's all sort of, I mean, there's two ways to look at these things. I think is that you do it as a big extreme thing, and you look at it really as like I'm depriving myself of alcohol and all these kind of things because I'm drinking every day, and you make a big deal of it. Or you're like, I'm wanting to do, I don't know, it's that whole atomic habits thing of like, I'm just wanting to tweak a habit that I will just continue on with. So I haven't noticed a massive change, but I've definitely noticed micro changes, which is, I think, the whole point of it. And also it just makes you a bit more conscious. Like I'll go to there's an artesian pizza place that I'll order pizza through for one lunch a week, and it'll be like, I'll just have a mushroom and cheese pizza versus automatically going for a meat lovers pizza. Just makes you think a little bit differently.
Well, if it's artesian, you should just get the margarita because that's the epitome of pizzas. And yeah, the reference to Atomic Habits is James Clear. For anyone who's listening out there, great book, and you can subscribe to the newsletter. And he sends a newsletter each week of 3, 2, and 1. Well worth subscribing to if you're looking to change habits, just incremental things each day, which is, I guess, what we're talking about here. It's just changing your habits. You might not stick to that change, but it gives you the ability to change something you may not, think is really working for you and see how it goes. And then if you want to go back to it after a month, if it's a dry July or you're quitting Diet Coke, you can.
I think it's a bit like Maddie's, drink 8 beers, run 10Ks, balances each other out type thing. It's a little bit like, do dry Jan, and then when it's July and summer over here in the UK and the pubs are open and I'm there 4 or 5 days a week, I feel less bad about it.
I was going to ask that question because you've done obviously dry January in Australia in summer, in the peak of summer, and now you've done it over there in the winter. The difference, like obviously a lot easier to do in winter, perhaps.
Much. Dry January in summer is shithouse in Australia because you've got Australia Day. Plus you've also got, it is summer. So Feb Fast is for anyone who's wanting to do their first one in Australia. Feb Fast or Dry July or Sober October are all much better than Dry January.
I think Dry July should play in Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's cold. You don't want to be out there anyway.
Which is where this one's pretty easy. It's kind of the equivalent. Dry January is Dry July over here.
Well, I actually think doing it in the middle of a pandemic when you're locked down, I think that adds a degree of difficulty. So kudos to you for getting through, the dry January and then buttering up with no chocolate this month. So you McTybe, no chocolate in February. I'm just going to go get myself a bag of 12s.
Eat it in front of us on video just to really let it in.
I'm off shopping now, so it's a good place to wrap up Dad Eats Last for this week. Remember to subscribe to Dad Eats Last on iTunes if you haven't done already. And while you're there, please leave a review. Also tell your mates about the podcast, especially if they are guys. Most of all, thanks for listening. And we'll be back next week with another episode and another bag of 12s for me of Daddy Eats Last. How's that for a dad joke? Catch you next week.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.